The night was humid, the kind that wrapped around your skin and made even breathing feel heavy. My name is Daniel, and I was just another passerby that night, standing across the street outside the late-night diner where I often stopped after work. I never thought I'd witness something that would shake me to my core. The parking lot was mostly empty, the flickering neon lights painting everything in shades of red and blue. That's when I noticed a black woman stepping gracefully out of a sleek black SUV. She carried herself with an aura of quiet power, the kind that makes you take a second look without knowing why. She was well-dressed, confident, calm, yet approachable. At first glance, she looked like any hard-working professional coming home late. But what happened next proved how quickly appearances can be twisted. A police cruiser rolled in behind her, lights flashing even though she hadn't broken a single law. The officer who stepped out was tall, broad-shouldered, and arrogant, his smirk betraying a dangerous sense of control. I had seen him around before, Officer Collins. He had a reputation in town, rough on minorities, quick to escalate, and somehow always escaping disciplinary action. As he approached the woman, something about the way he scanned her vehicle made my stomach churn. He wasn't searching for justice. He was searching for an excuse. The woman, later I would learn her name was Alicia Carter, remained calm. She handed over her license, spoke politely, and asked what the issue was. Collins ignored her questions, circling her SUV like a predator. Then, with a casual flick of his wrist, he pulled something from his pocket and dropped it near the back seat of her car. I couldn't believe my eyes. A small bag, white powder visible through the plastic. He planted it there as smoothly as if he had done it 100 times before. My heart pounded. Was I really seeing this? Alicia's eyes narrowed ever so slightly, but she said nothing. She didn't panic, didn't argue. Instead, she let him continue his performance. Collins reached in, discovered the planted bag, and smirked as though victory were his. Looks like we got ourselves a problem here, he sneered. The woman simply looked at him with a gaze so steady it unnerved even him for a moment. I couldn't understand it then, but later it all made sense. What Collins didn't know, what none of us knew, was that Alicia Carter wasn't just another black woman driving home late at night. She was the director of the DEA, the highest-ranking federal agent in the agency responsible for dismantling drug cartels nationwide. And this arrogant officer had just tried to frame the very woman who had the power to end his career and expose an entire web of corruption. Before the story continues, let me remind you, what you're about to hear isn't just another tale of justice. It's a lesson in patience, resilience, and the power of truth. If you believe in standing against injustice, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so we can keep bringing stories like this to light. Now, back to Alicia's story. Instead of resisting, Alicia let Collins arrest her. She let him lead her toward his cruiser, handcuffs cold against her wrists. The arrogance in his voice grew as he talked about how people like her were always up to no good. My fists clenched as I stood across the street, helpless to intervene. But Alicia wasn't helpless. She was calculating. She was waiting. Because what Collins didn't realize was that Alicia had her entire SUV wired with federal-level surveillance equipment. Every movement, every word, every planted piece of so-called evidence was being recorded live and fed directly to an encrypted DEA database. The trap wasn't Alicia's, it was his. And soon, his arrogance would collapse in the face of undeniable truth. The next morning, the world flipped upside down for Officer Collins. He strutted into the station, boasting about his big bust the night before, filing paperwork with false bravado. But before the ink on his report could dry, Alicia walked into the precinct, not in cuffs, not as a criminal, but as herself. Dressed in a sharp navy suit, credentials in hand, flanked by 2 federal marshals, she commanded the room with silent authority. Every officer in that station froze as she walked past them, her heels clicking against the floor like the sound of justice approaching. Collins' face drained of color. "What is this?" he stammered. Alicia placed her badge on the desk with deliberate calm. "This," she said, "is the part where the truth sets you free, or buries you." She pulled out a tablet, hit play, and let the entire precinct watch the footage, Collins slipping the bag into her car, Collins boasting on camera, Collins handcuffing her with arrogance dripping from his every word. The room went dead silent. The same men who had laughed at his jokes the night before now refused to meet his eyes. Alicia didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Power radiated from her restraint. "You see," she said, looking Collins directly in the eye, "I've spent my career bringing down cartel leaders who thought they were untouchable. But corruption doesn't only live in far-off places. Sometimes, it's right here, wearing a badge it doesn't deserve." Collins tried to stammer an excuse, but federal marshals closed in on him before he could finish. The very handcuffs he had placed on her the night before now locked around his wrists. His arrogance shattered into desperation, his power dissolved into nothing. Watching him being escorted out was a moment of poetic justice that none of us present would ever forget. But Alicia didn't stop there. Instead of simply removing one corrupt officer, she launched a full-scale investigation. Weeks turned into months, and under her leadership, a network of dirty cops and complicit officials was exposed and dismantled. What began as one man's arrogance became the unraveling of an entire web of injustice. And as for me, the man who stood across the street that night? I never forgot the lesson I witnessed. Justice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it waits patiently, gathering strength, and then strikes with undeniable force. Alicia Carter taught me, and everyone else, that true power isn't about intimidation or control. It's about integrity, patience, and truth. So here I am, telling you this story, because the hook isn't just about what I saw. It's about what it meant. That night I was just a witness. Today, I am a believer that no lie can bury the truth forever. And if Alicia Carter could face down corruption with calm resolve, then maybe each of us has the power to stand up against injustice in our own lives. If this story moved you, make sure to like and subscribe, because every share helps spread awareness and courage. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you saw an officer planting evidence right in front of you? Your voice matters, because together, we can make sure stories like this don't just end with silence, but with change.